Hey, this is Brad from Needless to Say. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but whips and chains excite me. Licks and moans, guests on the phones, I wish Lily and Shade would invite me. Daddy issues. Yeah, admit it. It got you hard. Right here on the Damaged Goods Network.
Welcome to Daddy Issues.
Yeah,
okay,
well, let's snap it.
Here.
Because this one I got busted, but I still made it.
I go full trailer park.
Hello and welcome.
It could have been better as a porn.
Let's go back to the hose.
That's weird.
I don't know. She seems like a right nut. I'm not gonna lie. Like, she does. Like, anybody
Pardon me.
popped it back in there. Hope he has SARS.
Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
Would you be comfortable sharing with us the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?
Well, look who skipped their meds today. And then it was just like, I should drink less.
It's the sound of a Steve ascending.
Okay, let's try this. In which case I might move this.
So that should probably improve.
Holy shit, it's like talking to a person.
There we go. Yeah, no, I'm sure. I just didn't think about it at first. Let me close this window, too, for us. And I could sit in here and just hotbox the den. So, hotbox the old studio.
Oh,
all right.
God. You know how we just talked about... Okay. I just got a DM while you were fucking around. Like, while you were doing mad research, I was doing this, like, pow, pow, get away.
Really?
Yeah, look, I can't.
Wow.
Stop.
Wow. He's manly.
Oh, so
He's so manly. He's all man.
Oh.
Oh, damn.
Christ.
Wow.
Why am I still single?
Why are you so lucky? I don't know. Exactly. You know, we never get those as men, so that's the good news. You ladies are conducting yourselves, on the whole, much, much better than we are.
You know, I'm sitting here and I was like, this is how it opened, swear. This
oh,
is
my
Shane.
goodness.
I was like,
That is just,
Shane?
wow.
Shane with a Y and an E?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I don't know a Shane. I said that immediately. I was like, not here. And he was like, no, I think I have the right person. And I'm like,
Nice. He's confident.
He's very confident. He'd give you like an 8. Like, his confidence is a 10, but he's like a 5 as a dude. And I can tell you that by the fact that he's approaching me in a DM like, this is Shane, as if we knew each other.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he gets consistently ranked higher by, like, males lower in the pecking order than him. So he has an inflated sense of...
Is that what it is?
Shane-ness. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I mean, he's in the gym all the time anyway, so he's in there with other little gym bros who just think he's great.
The gym bros.
So, yeah.
The gym bros. And you know what? That's the thing about...
Sorry, Shane. I'm sure you're probably a fucking great guy. I apologize. He's probably, you know, for all we know, he's a dad. He looks like he's my age. So,
he looks like a
probably
dad.
Got some kids out there by now.
He looks like a fuck.
I wouldn't want to date his daughter. I wouldn't want to fuck with Shane's daughter. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, you can't, because he's probably already eaten them. I mean, this guy looks like he is about his protein in the morning.
I was going to say, he's got a lot of powders and shakes and things.
Yes.
So he's doing the shakes.
It looks like he's done, what do they call it? Like a round? When they've done testosterone, it's like, hey, I'm just going to do another round or another cycle. That's what it's called, a cycle.
Yeah. He's got a few cycles under his belt.
He's done a few cycles. His nuts are like,
I should go on a cycle. That'd be good.
You could really unlock your potential, I think.
Yeah, my inner douche.
Your inner douche. Do I sound, by the way, at all echoed to you?
You sound pretty good.
Okay. I love your show prep. It's like superior.
I'm really, it's so funny because I'm from back there.
We invented Jesus.
Oh yeah, that's my other. So I actually dropped you in the middle of my notes for next week's show. So just disregard that.
I love it.
That's my next episode.
I'm gonna listen to that.
Yeah, we'll pull all this out for you. This is for the show.
Okay, I see you editing it, you motherfucker.
Yeah. So, while I'm very sorry I missed the time that we were supposed to record, I was there in spirit because I was working on the show.
You were, actually, and you know what? 1 o'clock rolled around and I was like, this motherfucker is committed. I'm not even going to interrupt. Like, you were like, no, I'm prepping right now. And then it's like, all right, we're heading towards 2. Like, this isn't that kind of show where you have to be on your knee. Well, you do have to be on your knees, but you don't have to fucking blow the man to make it here at Daddy Issues.
But yeah, you do have to know the difference between East Coast and West Coast time.
Yes, that you do. And also,
that helps.
I'm looking over your show notes. Like I said, first of all, we have them this week, so there's that. Like, I came over here and I had like backup articles of weird shit, because I always do. I'm like, if nothing else, we have this to talk about. But then you were like, let's talk about Nexium, and I was like, what? And then my Google opened my fucking brain hole.
Yep.
Holy shit, these bitches. Like, who are you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought this would be an interesting one to talk about for that very reason, because it's kind of, it's super modern. We haven't had a story like this in a while.
Coming of age story.
Yeah, no, it's a story about a girl and a man and a whole bunch of other girls.
And a lot of other girls, like a harem.
Yeah. And like blind loyalty in the face of glaring like personality deficiencies and weirdness on many levels. So, and I mean, I don't even know that this guy is totally done yet. You know, there's charges. Yes,
he's regenerating in federal prison. Like, he's like,
well, so yeah, like that's the question. I'm trying to figure out, did he end up, I don't think he made it to jail yet. I just think he's in trouble still. I don't think there's a conviction on this guy of any kind.
Okay, we have to pull this up because I listened to a bunch of shit today. And some of it said that him and Allison Mack, so like Rainier, right, is that how you say his name? Yeah. Rainier and Allison Mack are both in federal prison right now, based on the whistleblower guy. Now, I don't know if that's still true, though.
Oh, he is. He's in jail. And that's what the ex-employee Frank Parlato wrapped his video mentioning is talking about how that's why he's in jail as prisoner number, blah, blah, blah.
Number dash. Yeah, I saw that one too. Yeah.
That was a good video.
It was excellent.
And informative on a couple of key points. And you'll see I put that, I actually...
Is that in our show notes?
Put a link. Yeah, I put a link to that one in the notes because I thought it was good. Because I like him. So, like whenever you have a story like this, it's good to ask yourself, well, who blew the whistle on them and why? Right. What are their motivations? Right. And in this case, it was this guy, who was an outside contractor who was hired for them, who ended up being like, at some point in his interaction with them, and figured out what was being asked of him, and he decided to flip the script on them. So it wasn't, in this case, an ex-cult member or a family member of a cult member. They were more or less operating business as usual until Parlato
Right,
blew
until
up
he was
their
like,
spot.
fuck this.
Put them on blast. So
When he said on the video that we were just talking about, and we'll put the link in the show notes so you guys know what the fuck we're talking about. But like he says, he's like, they fired me. They want to call me disgruntled, and I put his ass in federal prison. He was like, I wasn't disgruntled. I just knew that there was something wrong here. He was like, fired, yes. Disgruntled, no.
There you go. Exactly.
So, and I was like, my bitch.
Yeah, accurately. First off, he was a freelancer anyway. He was a freelance, professional in the first place, and investigator.
He wanted to be like the next, like, it was almost, when I was watching that initial video, it was like insider trading. It looked like it's a bunch of bitches on a phone, like taking calls, and like weirdly in that video, they're all attractive. Like he selected them, And then you watch, like, there's like a dissension into this cult that he creates. Like for him, it's ascension, but for me as like somebody looking from the outside, I'm like, oh my God, you just went ape shit in your brain hole. Because like initially he's got all of this promise that he reports, or he's so narcissistic, it sounds that way anyway. And he's like reporting how he was as a child. Other people kind of corroborate some of it, But then as he gets older, he's like every other cult leader. He's like, I'm the sexiest, I'm the best, Like, but the way he went about it, it sounds like he was kind of a giant nerd, and that he still manipulated enough and pulled enough strings to let people, specifically women who had like a lot of resources. One thing that his lawyer says that I agree with is like, these were educated in most cases, financially apt and well-adjusted women. In a lot of cases, they weren't like dredge of the earth, trying to find their soul that way. But it was almost more...
Well, so I would clarify that, they say something like well-adjusted, and I say seemingly well-adjusted because...
Right.
People are vulnerable.
Yeah.
And people of all walks of life are vulnerable to stupidity like this.
Yeah.
Due to their own profound confusion and loneliness in life, and all sorts of, things that go into what would make them an attractive target for
and to that
this type of personality.
And to that point, Allison Mack, literally in her Jeunesse video, which is associated with the Nexium, you see in her intake, her hair is fucked up and she looks like a drowned rat. And she's like, when I, like it's her intake video, I guess. And she's like, I can't find love and I don't have fulfillment. It's like, bitch, you're rich. Like you've got a lot going for you that you need to just focus on. But 100%. That's exactly the kind of person that they were trying to outline as somebody with resources but no direction.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the best kind of person, right? So
because then they're going to pay the check without asking the fucking questions.
I was going to say, I mean, you could be directionless and have no resources and be beautiful and be all these other things, but you're not going to be a high value target to that kind of organization because you don't represent the most important aspect of that, which is the resources that come along with a person like that.
Yeah.
A member such as that.
And okay, what's your impression of the actual Rainier himself, who also goes by Vanguard, depending on
the Vanguard? Yeah, exactly. No, the Vanguard. So, well, I wanted to say here, there's a 1 minute clip of Alice and Max recruiting video.
Oh, I saw
here.
this. Okay, I wonder if it's the same one. Is this in the link?
Now, I think if we do Mystery Science Theater 3000 over this and just talk about it while we're watching it, we're okay to use this clip under fair use.
Okay.
Had on this is something that seemed to be like the perfect life for a pretty good.
Can you hear her?
Superficially, materialistically, I was very successful. I had the job, I had the dog, I had the car, I had the boyfriend, I had the blah, 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 blah,
here she is.
Clothes, everything that I thought I
had
needed
the
in order to
dog,
be
I
okay.
had the car,
and
I
yet,
had the money.
I couldn't stand to be with my family for more than 2 hours at a time. And the idea of being honest with even my best friend.
So this stuff sounds like somebody confessing their personal rackets to the Landmark Forum, another self-help group that I attended one of their weekend seminars for, and quickly pieced out after the 2-day seminar because I could tell how culty it already was, and they were trying to recruit you for another big program.
I thought it happened in the movies, and now that's my life. That's my reality. I have an experience with my family that is nothing but joy.
Thanks to Nexium, apparently,
right.
her family life is healed already. So, we talked over it quite a bit.
Well, here's the main problem with her I mean, it's a great recruitment video. I'll tell you why. Who doesn't have issues with their fucking family? Right. So, anyone can relate to that. Even if I don't have problems in my life per se, and I'm rich, and I have a good car, and
which is just what she was saying, right? I'm pretty, I'm perfect, I'm this, that, the other, but it still sucks.
Personal relationships were suffering. Yeah, I'll bet. And they probably still are. They're in the shitta.
Mm-hmm.
But then the later video, she's put together, and her hair is just in place. Her mood is in place. She's and now I don't need a man, or I can have a man, and I'm happy. And I'm I don't fucking believe you. I don't fucking believe you. There are 2 things I know about women. Number 1, we don't want to be alone. Whether we admit it to you or anyone else, we don't want that. Okay? It's a basic human need. Some men, I've noticed, can live completely solitary lives and never miss us. And for you, sirs, I get it. But to the masses, I mean, connection is key 1, right? So right in the very beginning of talking about Nexium, she's talking about disconnection, feeling like she had everything else, but the connection was missing. And that was the void that was filled, and that opened up every level of potential she ever had. Let me tell you something. If you go on a weekend and come back a different person, you're insane. You've just gotten pulled into a cult. Either it's not a full-blown cult and they're just manipulating you in other more menial ways, or they're making a play for you. In this case, these 1-week meetings are $15,000.
Exactly. Exactly. So which goes back to it is interesting, right? Because these cults prey upon not the utterly without resources.
Yeah.
They prey upon, people who are in an interesting layer of society that makes them particularly vulnerable. And that, I think, comes largely from the fact that you need a certain amount of affluence to be sort of so, to have the extra time in the first place to become involved with an organization like this. These organizations appear to have very heavy time commitments out of their members right from the beginning. For example, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this Nexium, cult. I think it's fair to call it a cult today, is because I've discussed a related organization that, and I say related, but the connections to these groups aren't that clear, but a lot of the same types of...
It's not expressly clear that they're different. DOS is connected to them, and Jeunesse is a fucking sister company, and then there was another one, and it's it's not even that they're shell companies; they're their own thing, but they're all interconnected to the same guy. At least it seems.
Well, so and in these cases, the one that I'm referring to, Landmark Forum, it's an older group, it's a larger group. Members of that community are continuously spinning in from other weird, self-help organizations and spinning out into other organizations, and in some cases building them like this out of, new ones out of whole cloth. And so the connection to Landmark Forum is in one of, first off, overt culture. When I hear the conversations or the talking points of these folks, when I see them in interviews, it reminds me very much of little aspects that I encountered right away in the short format, like hook 'em right now over the weekend kind of seminar that Landmark puts forward, that then wants to, is packaged in a professional self-help, motivational kind of format to, young wannabe professionals. It's, like secular in nature. So these are not outwardly religious organizations. They appear to be secular. But then once you're involved in it, it's not like you're kneeling and saying prayers, but you're participating in group activities that in some cases resemble and in some cases are outright characterized to the members of the group as like group hypnosis sessions, so they're actually at all times subtly reinforcing and implanting notions in a form of programming, and then at times
non-consensual programming.
Right. I mean, and it is consensual in a way because it's like you paid to be there, in the first place, right?
Yeah, that's why his lawyer is like dancing right now, is because in the back of his mind, this one motherfucker, he's like, they paid to be here. They signed contracts to sleep only with me. I'm not even a fucking judicial specialist, and I can tell you it doesn't look good. Even though everything was so fucking wrong.
So gross, right? And I don't think they like maintained a harem house or anything. I don't think there was like
They didn't have to, because he kept they would just go to him. He didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So you could come and go. You could have your life. Right. You could have, many of these people probably had spouses too, and boyfriends. Right. It's safe to say we're talking about pretty much all women in the case of Ranieri's, most loyal followers. And I believe the NXIVM organization was for both men and women.
So NXIVM...
right?
Yeah, so NXIVM was men and women. I actually listened to an interview with this dude who was like, listen, there was one thing you didn't do, and it was cross Raniere, because it's not like you were told how bad you were. It's that you were told how unenlightened you were. It was, oh, you just don't get it. Oh, you just don't understand. There was like a feeling of isolation and being ostracized that then compelled you to go, oh shit, something's wrong with me. I just need to get on board with all this weird fucking shit. Like, the branding honestly is like icing on the cake to everything else that was going on there. First of all, saying women empowerment while you're kissing a dude at every meeting, I'm like, no. First of all, women empowerment, I don't know why we're all like, I'm gonna sound like such an asshole saying this, but like, what the fuck is the point? Can't we just get to a point where we're like, you do that job, I do this job, he does that job, she fucking does that job, and let's stop talking about a time past. Because in my eyes, I'm a working fucking individual. I don't see a world anymore with that many blurred lines that I can't cross. I feel like if I want to be a homemaker, I can. I feel like if I want to go run, and be a brand manager at a multi-million-dollar company, I can, because I have. So, to me, like this woman empowerment kick that all these women are on, I don't understand it, because I guess I'm already either so far from needing that, or I don't understand why we have to make a show of being equal anymore when we just can be.
I mean, you sound pretty empowered. That's the good news.
I didn't even need a meeting. Didn't cost me $15,000 to get this fucking hard. Just lots of shit. Which I'm sure, okay, now there's something.
Well, you probably wouldn't be a very good candidate for NXIVM.
I would not. They would definitely be like, send her out.
I don't know if they're like,
No, they wouldn't even want my money because they'd be like, she fucking says too much. I'd be one of the ones in like the snuff films that haven't made it to like the media yet.
Yep, he'd be like, no, you're right, she does look good, but no, get her out of here.
Looks great. Attitude. Get that a lot.
I hate to watch you go, but I love to see you leave. I think I said that a little bit wrong, but you know that.
You know, the bottom line is, like, okay, so beyond that, the theme of this, though, was not just self-help. It was female-themed initially from the interpretation I took of it, right from the surface. When you look at NXIVM and Jeunesse, and DOS more so, because it's like, that was supposedly...
Well, that was like that was the fucking
sorority.
Royal Guard, right?
Yeah. That was like the brotherhood of bitches that are so committed to that dick. like, what was the goal? They turned over their bodies, their personal information, the shit they know is going to be heinous if it reaches their family's ears. Anyone.
Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
And
You're not gonna, your dad's not gonna be proud of you at Christmas time. When he sees you.
You are on the blacklist after this. And they take it.
Like dirty girls.
Right.
Yes, not
you
good.
took the shitty shit and you put it out on blast to these people who you obviously were like really trusting of. So it just talks about or it just goes to prove this went even like indoctrination is one thing. To me, it becomes a cult when you are now I could have made an independent decision, but this is what I did. Because everybody else I knew was also doing it. That is herd mentality on a level that is detrimental, as the result is branding in this case. Like, some people are into branding, I get that. Some of these women...
So there we go. So
not so much.
I was going to say, this is another reason why, I thought you would enjoy this for daddy issues, because, this is something that, so body modification and even
branding can be consensual.
Scarification and branding, is eroticized, if nothing else, in media and in people's fantasy lives and stuff like that. And then, so here we have something that most people may or may not know. This is one of the reasons why we're talking about this on your show. Yeah, we're talking about it because it's men's and women's issues. We're talking about it because it's a crazy, seemingly cult and a pyramid scheme. By the way, there's deep ties in Rainier's background to years of membership in Amway and in his own multi-level, consumer products, household products, multi-level marketing company. And that is all woven into the NXIVM organizational structure and recruitment scheme and methods for him for generating revenue for that organization.
The motherfucker is great at business. I mean, phenomenal when it comes to doing... He already knew
he's great at horrible, predatory, creepy businesses that are all themselves, versions of this. All he decided to do with NXIVM was take the core value proposition of all multi-level marketing, which is be a cult of personality,
right,
and command the loyalty of dipshit minions who you simultaneously convince them that they're better than everybody else in the world, and that the only, way ahead is your way, and that the only way for their own dipshit friends in turn to progress and to become something more than they are is to come in under their own wings in turn. The pyramid is built, Did you? We were going to get back to the branding, but go ahead.
Yeah, the brand. No, I was going to talk about, the initial brand, the woman who came forward, I think about the brand first, another actress. Okay. And she's got dark hair.
We got branding and we got branding and we got literal branding.
Yeah. Then we held her the fuck down while we were all naked. Yeah. I mean, let me paint a picture for you. Okay, so we're going to include some of the links of the things that we saw today because y'all just, if you don't believe it, it happened. But this actress comes forward and basically characterizes this secret society. That's the DOS, correct? That was
I think
DOS.
so. Yep. The inner of inners.
The inner
Nexium
sanctum
is the seemingly straight organization on the outside, on the front side of this.
Right. And so they had, this was a planned thing. She thought she was getting a tattoo based on, allegedly, this is her report, is that she was expecting to get tattooed and was like, okay, I'm going to do that. I was like, in for that. Okay. And then got there.
She was down for the tattoo.
She was under the impression it was going to be a tattoo. It was going to be a show of loyalty, and it was going to be like body related. And she thought tattoo. And I think even in one of the things that, because she was interviewed multiple times, in one of the interviews she talks about, I think, that being talked about, you know, like we're going to get a tattoo, whatever.
Right.
But before they go through that, which never even happened, they, I guess, had to confess some really personal things. And then they took photos of them that were very compromising, of them naked, and then sent them on. It's almost like...
Okay, so can I jump in there for a second, because that's huge, and it's really interesting because so again, going back to Landmark Forum, and
the shell company almost, but it's a real company,
right? Well, so exactly, and this is an older group, but one that still is in existence today, and it's outwardly again sold as a self-help group. Anybody can find them on the web and sign up for a weeknight introduction or a weekend long like seminar class from them in any fucking state in the United States. So, but if you guys want to hear more about Landmark Forum, I did 2 episodes on it on my show, Baked and Awake, and I got links to both of those episodes in the show notes for you to share if you want to share them. But one thing that they did to us in the weekend-long event was they sold you the idea that, everything that's wrong in your life is due to rackets that you're running on yourself and on your friends and family. And they use that lingo, a racket. Okay. Like a drug racket, or like a criminal enterprise, like a scam.
Like you're defrauding the people you love and yourself.
You're defrauding yourself. You're defrauding them. Allison Mack mentioned while we were chattering over her, about living her life inauthentically, and how she literally didn't know that it was possible to live your life authentically. So they get you in the course of a weekend clinic or seminar, and a number of different activities and rapport building exercises, and letting people all weekend long be encouraged to pick up a microphone anywhere in the classroom and address the whole group to talk to them about some breakthrough that you're having. Exactly. Okay. So by the end of the weekend, they want everybody to go up to the front of the room and tell the rest of the, soon to be graduating class, as they call it, what your racket is and what, you're going to do about it. What have you figured out is your racket? So basically, that ends up being a huge confessional of people talking about horrible shit they've done in their lives.
Entire room knows.
Yeah. Oh, and that they're recording the entire weekend long event with multiple video cameras and probably mics you don't even think about.
Yeah.
They've had some celebrity charismatic speaker up front all weekend telling you their embarrassing stories.
The front guy.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's not your Rainier, it's one of his footmen,
right. It's the Allison Mack I saw Kristen Kruger kind of got peripherally involved. It sounds like
Kruick, yeah, exactly. Kruick. Absolutely. And that was the one that's where I found that cool video that also had Palermo. No, it didn't have Palermo in it, but it had another guy in it who pointed out some interesting things about the brand, the physical brand. It's not a tattoo, but you're here now, and guess what? We're holding you down, and that's what everybody's mad at Mac for, is that she is the biggest recruiter to the inner circle, and she was supposedly revealed as not just high up in the organization, but really fucking high up in the organization. Like his main squeeze,
right?
The, main
Have you
heir
seen,
to the throne. So
yeah, you see in their video together, she is fucking googly-eyed about him.
Absolutely.
She's like,
it's gross. It's gross. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so
like I could see her pupils dilating from Texas. It's like,
we're going to talk over this too, but this is way shorter. Listen to this shit though. This is fucking. But there we go. So listen to this.
Video obtained by Inside Edition shows Mac in 2015 singing at a birthday celebration for Raniere. The party lasted 8 full weeks. Mac is described in a criminal complaint as a direct slave.
Cue at direct slave.
Yeah, so she's a direct slave of Raniere. She was at a birthday party that lasted a full week with him.
Oh, that's the other thing. Every event for his birthday is like a 10-day fucking celebration of him. Oh, and what he's doing. Yeah, no, and what he's doing with Allison Mack, he did with another woman who's like twice her age.
Wow.
He's done this before where he had a main squeeze, but she was never named as his girlfriend. And she was like, I just knew I was the one because when I walked into the room, people would move aside so I could sit next to him. And
oh my gosh.
She, even though she's out of the cult, still talks in a way where she was happy she was revered for the psycho.
Still bamboozled.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then now we've got Allison Mack, and I mean, she's a gorgeous girl, seems really bubbly and sweet. In fact, when I'm watching her, I see a lot of myself in her. So I can imagine how many people would find her relatable. She's really kind, or they'd want to be like her, But then the flip side of it is she's not in there, though. She's a tape recording of someone else's mind.
100%. 100%.
That is scary.
It's a crazy. Well, but at the same time, she must have, and we still haven't, I don't think, gotten the true full story on that, because I think there is more of her there than we think, because here's the coolest and craziest and most horrible thing about the brand, as far as I'm concerned, and the branding ritual. And this reveals, if it's accurate, which I saw the imagery, it appears to be the case. The metal cattle prod style brand that was impressed that it turns out the inner initiates were subjected to instead of a tattoo. Mac not only lured them to that level of involvement in the organization that they would want to subject themselves to even so much as a tattoo, but then was physically involved in the rituals and held them down. I keep calling it a ritual instead of a ceremony, because it seems like dark magic to me, paranormal shit to me. Insofar as there's evidently lightly clad or nude attendants holding down the initiate, who is then branded with a Wild West cowboy style brand that is obviously encoded with the initials of Keith Raniere, KR, and in a rune style format, right? Like an old runestone, Stonehenge kind of format. You turn it 90 degrees, you look at that same image, and what do you have? The initials AM, clear as day.
I know, I saw that too. Before, actually, the first time I saw the brand, I was like, what does that look like? And so I did this with my screen and Photoshop. I was like, doop, doop, doop. And then once someone mentioned that it was initials, I saw hers before I saw his.
There you go.
I was like, holy shit, she did that.
So that's what I think is interesting, and that's why I think we've got a story here that's really dynamic and alive, and still nobody knows the full depth of Mac's, complicity, and I'm not, I don't care. He's obviously much worse. He's the rat bastard. Yeah. He's the big rat bastard. He put the whammy on her too first and hard. Yeah. The hardest. But she was way in there, way in there by the end. So a very interesting cult, and interesting to me because this is, as far as I'm concerned, what, to a degree, so many of these self-help organizations really end up being, is even somebody as innocuous and whose state is clean over the years, as far as I know, from scandal, as like the great Tony Robbins. All right. People get a little bit off when they get off on big personal development, personal self-help kicks in their life. And especially when they take it on as their lifestyle, the way somebody else takes on windsurfing as a hobby, or building ships in bottles. They're like, yo, I'm going to another seminar this weekend, bro. You got to come with me. It's amazing the stuff I'm learning. This one's all about investing this weekend. And, that guy leaves and comes back and he's
living out of a box.
Half-ass. Exactly. But he's also got 3 new suits, and he's a quasi-licensed securities trader who is a self-described expert on the field at the same time. Right.
I think the first theme, and I don't have the pillars of a cult per se written down, but to me it's like a series of a couple things for sure. One, you always have a charismatic personality that draws everyone in, whether it's the front man or the actual brains of the operation. Sometimes it is the front man though. Sometimes the brains is the side guy. I've seen that a couple times, but generally the front guy is the one that's charismatic. And then you have feelings of being displaced in your own life. And usually those are interpersonal connections they're referring to. So that'll hit you in the feels. And you're like, fuck, I do have a great job and I do have a nice house, but I'm lonely. Because we all have been there. I mean, not necessarily single in there, but you can feel isolated in a marriage. You can feel isolated when you've just met someone and you haven't let them in that much yet. Maybe you're not even in a bad place, but you're just not connected where you can let all your cards show. Now, what's interesting is they demand you show all your fucking cards. And then, and that's probably what institutes that feeling of community.
Well, they sort of manipulate you into it. They make you the whole time think that you are doing it on purpose, that you want to do it.
Yeah.
That you're ready to do it with this group. That you're ready to do it with this group at this time, that this is the right place.
These are the right people. This is your moment.
These are the ones.
Yep. And the strange thing is I was starting to say, it starts creating a sense of community within those people, between each other. But now that you've unveiled your darkest shit, now you're not going to step out of line that far, I wouldn't think, because it's they have dirt on you.
Exactly.
I would think. I gotta be honest, though.
Right.
You want to turn out dirt on me? That's fine. There's nobody who's going to be surprised. So, you're wasting your time trying to blackmail my emotions. So this is why I'm not a candidate.
Again, I was going to say, that's the thing. You would be harder to manipulate in that way. And I mean, that's probably why I balked after, I was ready to leave halfway through the weekend, but I stayed because money had been spent, money had changed hands. I was going to get my money's worth out of it. And also, I dimly realized what an interesting opportunity it was to see the inner workings of something that I already knew was basically full of shit and malevolent.
Yep. And okay, so now tell me about your experience, because I have something to talk about. Kind of when you brought this up, I was like, yes, because we're like, well, hey, listeners, we were like, what the fuck are we going to talk about? And I was like, I like cults and he likes conspiracies, and this is both. So it was like the perfect marriage of daddy issues and baked in a way, brought to you by Steve's brain. So thank you. But
oh, no problem.
The more I was watching, reading, okay, now if you go to NXIVM's site, for example, okay, it says, we're very sorry to report that you know, based on the communities and the, you know, basically saying like,
Nice.
it's not our fault, but we had to shut down for a minute. For those who are already members, you know how to find us, basically.
Wow.
Right?
See, they're not giving up.
They're not. You can kind of
They don't
read
give
through
up.
it. So, there's subtext on that front page where it says, like, they're apologizing, but they're not. They're like, we weren't really. Initially, there were multiple versions of this apology that have made it.
That's that fuck shit.
Yeah. So they just keep
They're on that
editing
fuck
it
shit.
to, like, the time.
Damn.
They're like, yeah, they're on the Flocka response
Wow.
team. Like, what sounds good today?
Wow.
But what's interesting, too, okay, first of
That's
all, I've
so
not
interesting.
seen.
I didn't go to their website
I
since
did.
it's been like closed down,
Oh, yeah,
so to speak.
I did. This bitch did some homework.
Well, because when this story first broke, that shit was still up.
Yeah.
And people were visiting it. I visited it when the website was still up.
Yeah.
And it just looked like a, you know, like a recruiting front. It looked totally innocuous, just like
Yeah.
Landmark or anything else. It was just like, here's where you can find us, you know, and a bunch of like promotional shit, videos
Yeah.
and stuff like that Mac video. So anyway.
So now you actually attended one of these. I think I might have, but I want to hear your story to compare it with because, like, I had, you know how you're an intelligent guy, Steve. So, like you said, halfway through, you're like, But like me, you saw it as an opportunity. For me, it was a money thing. Also, I was like, shit, I probably need to fucking see if I get anything out of this. But when you were there, what were your red flags?
Sure. Well, like the level of emotionalism that they wanted to evoke out of the crowd continually over the course of the weekend. So, you know, it's all in the guise of like express form of like group psychotherapy, although they're very careful not to characterize it using that exact language, but they use every piece of familiar language around the label of psychotherapy.
Yes.
Which, you know, this is like pseudo psychotherapy.
And they
right?
use different
This is like
terminology
junk,
to throw you off.
You know, they do. They use both
Suppressors
familiar
and
stuff.
descenders.
There you go. I mean, and then like their original lingo, like the rackets, you know, I'm sure if we had a psychologist sitting here with us, he'd be like, okay, well, what they're talking about is ego constructs that we refer to as blah, 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 you know, in real psychotherapy.
Right.
And here's the normal multi-month or multi-year process for addressing a deeply ingrained one such as this in an adult patient, you know?
Right.
And they might have some methods that superficially resemble what the Landmark Forum facilitator at the front of the class and all their helpers and the activities that they're asking you to do are going to try to accomplish in one weekend. As the weekend progresses, they lightly hint to you the entire time that as great as what the transformation that's going to be possible over the course of the weekend for so many of you is, you know, it's just the tip of the iceberg compared to the insights that come from the advanced curriculum, which is what they referred to it as. There again, they continually try to conflate what they're doing with different things. On one level, therapy, on another level, education.
Right.
Oh, we're gonna
personal
educate
development.
you, right? You know, and I mean, there's breathing exercises and there's repeating of mantras and there's, as I said, you know, continual opportunity to do confessionals to the group of different kinds, positive or like, oh, I can't keep it in any longer, you know, kind of shit.
There's a term for that too.
So,
it's called leveling. And I've heard it. It's like a slang term, but the way it is, or what it means essentially is, when you become a confessor in a group, that level of vulnerability, it changes you. It opens you, but it's not necessarily the environment to do it. You know, like, that's why that's why when they leave these weeks or these weekends, they're like unburdened and they feel like a new lease on life and they're all unlocked. It's like, yeah, because you were finally able to strangers admit the things that were burdening you, but they are still strangers, and you were used because you're the platform, really. By you interacting, you are the voice that continues the fucking pyramid scheme.
Yep. Because you didn't do the work with your family and friends. You were there alone.
Right.
You still got to go home and do the real work with your family and friends. Yep.
Like, it sounds
interestingly, what's really neat is they do make it participatory in that sense, and it is really weird and interesting because they instantly test the members of the seminars
and loyalty.
Because you do have to talk to some people before the weekend's over. They want you to go home on night one and like call somebody at 10 o'clock at night who you've like been inauthentic with. So there's another thing that's absolutely right. And it also instantly tells me that this NXIVM group has ties to Landmark, Psychobabble, and Methods, because they talk about the authenticity and inauthenticity. And the exact trap that they put you in on night one of the weekend seminar is you need to go home and call somebody who you've been inauthentic with and talk to them about it tonight before you close your eyes and go to sleep. Exactly.
Fuck you guys.
Exactly. And then on like day two, they want you to call somebody else too. So they want you to do that a couple times over the weekend, which right away puts you in probably either a situation where the family member on the other end feels all the red flags in the world, if you didn't already, because guess what? I didn't call nobody.
You were like, no calls made.
Give me a fucking break, and they don't like that either when they find out you didn't do it.
I'll bet like not, because you're a dissenter.
Yeah, they really don't like it,
That's another term
shit
they use.
Oh, really?
A Luciferian, yes.
Furian, not Therian.
Correct.
Like with fear in there.
Well,
wow.
I don't know if it's probably spelt the same way. I just heard it coined by two of the people that were interviewed.
Wow.
Yeah,
nice.
Luciferian. And they said...
I didn't catch that word come out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
It's in the same video. I don't know if you saw this one, but they're talking about the terminology, and they talk about how they refer to people as suppressors. They refer to
there you go.
The program as tracks.
That sounds familiar. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Tracks. Interesting.
Yeah. So and they also talk about, and this is, I think, for NXIVM, not DOS, but they have the sashes to show where their rank is. So then there's like a visual representation on a regular basis, just in your face. This person is superior
of a hierarchy.
To you. Yeah. And and that kind of goes with what the gentleman said with the male group, or the group that can have men and women. He was saying, it's not that they tell you you're bad, it's they tell you you don't get it.
How unenlightened you are.
Exactly.
How unenlightened you are. How just... Okay,
right,
if you think so.
If you're that guy, I mean, we're all happy, but if you want to be him. So, so there, again, that social construct, I feel like if you already felt it was lacking and all of a sudden someone flips the script on you like that, you're immediately going to emotionally react and go into panic. You're going to try and fix it, hold it, preserve it, make them happy. And here's the other thing that I found interesting, specifically with the DOS, the super sorority quiet group, that basically that didn't even blow the lid off. Those women kept to themselves because that information was so valuable that they had on them that they didn't come forward. It wasn't until the other
he had them owned. He owned them wholly.
Right.
Yeah. There you go. 100%.
And he had like multiple women sign lifetime contracts to only sleep with him while they knew he wasn't. Now this is like
faithful to them.
Right.
So here's what we're pointing out too.
And they say they're okay
with
it, but it's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly at that point, in a vastly different place than most of us even understand, in terms of what they've been through to get them there. And what we're, establishing for people here is like all these organizations. That was kind of what I started with. The initial thought was drawing the connection back to Landmark. Lingo remains common in many cases between them, and that to me speaks again of these groups spin off into each other, and people who have an addiction to these type of organizations go from one to the next, and in some cases, unfortunately, it becomes who they are. The same person who sold Amway when they were 18 to 23 may not do that anymore. Maybe they did 3 or 4 other weird things between then and now, and got regular jobs, and in fact then transitioned out of dumb looking shit like that into regular, employment and outwardly seeming normal, but behind the scenes they're going away every weekend to, weird so-called self-help seminars like this. And, anybody who does spend time with them as close friends is either continually subjected to their own recruitment tactics, attempts, or probably finds themselves figuring out ways to not kick it with that person anymore, because that person's going to be pretty fucking annoying to somebody who's not involved with these groups. Right. Yeah.
They actually talk about if you don't feel accepted and people aren't on board for this shit, that they are not part of your future path, really.
There you go. Exactly.
And anybody who tells me that everybody else has to be on my, in my same track in life to be in my life, already I'm suspect, because it's I don't like my friends because they're doing the same shit I am.
Right.
I don't want you to be like me. I like that you're not like me. Please don't be like me. And
yeah, no, 100%.
Okay, now talk about that. Okay, here's some creepy shit that I felt was going on, and this seems to have gone on in multiple parts of the organization. So hugging, chanting, that. Why? Is that is that a psycho? That's got to be psychological. The reason.
Sure.
For that.
I mean, exactly, chanting, right? Almost. It's forced intimacy, right? You got to accelerate those bonding rituals with people and get people into.
That's the key. Accelerating. You were right on with that. It's accelerating a relationship.
Yep. You manufacture a relationship out of, nowhere, and you do it quickly because you've got more work to do too, and the way it works is through continual reinforcement over time. And then pretty soon, members of the community, well, exactly. Members of the community who have been part of the community for just a few months, quickly look around and they realize that they don't have a single friend who they call in their phone anymore on their, short list of people to dial to hang out with that isn't also a member of that organization.
Right. And then,
which is fine,
What about the part, it's so financially, it's inundated with, you have to pay this to stay in. They even paid speakers to smash other speakers to cause animosity within the ranks so that some people would move out of, but never give up their allegiance. They would move from their position,
Interesting.
Almost. Yeah, they would.
Yeah, so they were doing all sorts of weird manipulations inside. Yeah, the Smash Mouth stuff. So that was what Palermo ended up quitting over or managing to get fired over, because he questioned Ranieri's investments of those Seagram's heiresses' money.
Right.
Okay, so not only was it Smallville actresses and exactly. So not only was it young actresses and anonymous upper crust, white ladies of all sorts who were being manipulated by Ranieri, but he had a couple of big fish in the form of these Seagram's heiresses, Claire and Sarah Bronfman. So they entrusted to him in the form of like some sort of day trader for them, many millions of dollars. Some say like $65 million and millions more in real estate investments, some of which Parlato was able to recover for them. I
because
guess
they worked with the police, yeah, or the government, or
they did come forward at a certain point. You know, probably when
they were named.
I was going to say when their names started getting dragged through the mud, and they're like, "Hey, we're not branded, and by the way, he took our money." You know, so there's an interesting story there. So they're, you know, the heiresses of the Seagram's like ginger ale and tonic water fortune,
shit.
You know, and soda fortune, exactly. So that's no joke. And Seagram's has alcohol too, like gin and stuff. So that's big business.
Club soda,
right? Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yeah, you know, I mean, they don't get a lot crazier than this group. Like, these guys are there. He was wilding out. With
so,
these women,
I'm so glad you said that, because I was just about to be like,
R. Kelly didn't brand his women.
So, not only did he brand them, not only did he brand them, but he still, in these interviews,
fleeced them for their money on the as well, because as you pointed out, it's expensive to be involved in these organizations. In Landmark, it's disguised as curriculum and endless workshops that you need to go to, which is really just continual programming.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Doss didn't talk about a program so much. It was like the secret society, but Nexium talks about tracks, and there was one other company that was mentioned. It wasn't Landmark, but there's another one.
EST.
That's it. And Jeunesse. I almost forgot that. Jeunesse was like the infancy of all of this that led into not the computer company thing that he was doing. What was that? Like early on, there's a commercial for it. It was his first business. He thought it was going to be the cutting edge of technology. Again, he had a front woman to head it up with him, who was googly eyed and was like, "Yes, this is a great idea." And I guess it was fraud, and so that fell apart.
Nice.
Yeah,
turned out to be fraud, so that one didn't work out for too long.
Yeah, it didn't work out, really. It probably was an MLM, you know, but then he got his hand caught in the cookie jar a little bit.
There you go.
But then, it's
all cookie jar.
Then after her, she got cut, right? She was the brunette.
Yep.
Then there was an older blonde before Allison Mack.
Interesting.
And she talks about how all of these women were meant to get naked. They would get into a room. They would all be told that they were going to be sleeping with him. But
wow.
I'm like, dude, have you seen him? Like, ew.
Yeah, he doesn't look good anymore, does he?
He didn't look good then. Yeah. Like early photos, he just looks like a nerd. Late photos, at least he's like clean. You know, it looked like before he just lived in his mother's basement.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he definitely did a big hippie phase.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
saw some
photos. I mean, his image was definitely hippie-fied for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Like the new Doc Johnson.
Yeah.
Like he didn't seem to ever, here's something smart he did, which is going to help him in court. I feel like I'm almost building a case for this fucker, but it's true.
We're lucky. He's already in jail, so we don't have to worry, right?
Right.
We figured that out.
Yeah, we got that far. He got to a point where he could see all these women have interpersonal relationships with them and have relations with them, and they wouldn't complain to him that he was being a man whore, and they were celibate outside of him. Okay.
Nice.
But what was interesting is at no point did he ever claim a single one of them as his girlfriend. So there is no history of him dating anyone on record.
Wow.
Though he's got like women who are even the ones who like dropped out of the cult The ones with the brands even are like, he was just so charismatic, and he just like they're wistful a little bit. What?
I don't know.
Okay, so what were you saying about? You were talking about. So he got away with some weird shit. What else did he get away with?
I mean, it looks like he didn't get away with much at this point. Now that we know that he did get convicted for this.
What was the charge that he actually went to prison for? Do we know?
Let's find out.
I want to know because like some things are not as bad as other things.
Yeah, no, I think he's at like federal prison.
Get fucked prison.
Intense. So, he was charged with sex trafficking conspiracy, and forced labor conspiracy.
What about Allison Mack? Was she also convicted, or is she just being held? Probably convicted.
I was still reading about Ranieri there, but yeah, let's see here. Mac.
It's like a little update. Where are they now?
Yeah. Prison sentence.
Fingers crossed it's a big one.
So it seems like she might still be tied up in court on this. In May, she was still fighting it in May of 2018.
Man, that actress money, dough. Keep you out of jail.
Right? How much could be left at this point, right?
Dude, she stopped. She even... Oh, what?
Yeah, no, earlier it looked like she was, amenable to a plea deal, but she went back on that.
Wow. She's got balls.
She's out on $5 million bond under home detention and wearing an ankle monitor as of May.
Man, give me her lawyer's number.
Time. I know, right? And then, April. See, in April and May. So, that's the thing. We haven't heard much on this in the last few months. I imagine that we're awaiting sentencing.
Okay. So she still got shit to answer for.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't. Okay, it talks about how she was luring and trafficking them, but she doesn't. Like, they don't actually characterize. No one talks about her luring them in that I've seen on film or in reports. Everybody's talking about how they heard about it, and no one directly to her. Obviously, she's the front man in a lot of ways, because it's like the videos, the promotional materials, she's at his fucking side. And then the YouTube one-on-ones are with him and her, like asking these philosophical questions, which is ridiculous because they both sound like a bunch of douches.
I agree. I think, so it looks here like I found one story from people.com, and they're talking about a little bit more about what she actually did in there in terms of the way she treated other people in the group, these women that she was recruiting. An inside source, one of the people said to be like a manipulated victim of the two of them, more than one of them apparently. These slaves, said Mack, this is a quote, was incredibly intimidating, cruel, and punitive, a source close to two former DOS members told The Hollywood Reporter in a cover story published last Wednesday. The source added that according to the former members, Mack allegedly threatened to release compromising materials he had gathered on the women if they refused sex with Ranieri.
Yeah, she was like the poacher for the dick.
Vow. Yeah, she apparently screamed at the slaves about their lifetime vow at one point in time.
Wow.
Said that they were, berated them, said they were worth nothing, that they were weak and couldn't uphold their word, threatened to destroy them, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because one of these women was shamed for falling in love with someone that wasn't him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all
So
the
there you
women
go.
as like the entry, they have to kiss him on the lips. So it's like a very invasive, you're his thing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
okay, now people are probably listening to this and they're like, but you like being owned? And yes, but I chose that and I'm not fucked up in the head about it. Nobody's telling me what to feel. And I'm like, not going to meetings. I'm not spending any money to think this way.
There you go. Exactly.
Like, I don't have to change to be this way. I just
huge difference. Giant difference. Giant, massive difference.
I don't
that's
contribute financially. I contribute my time and of who I am to a partner, but it's not a whole community either. That would be weird if the whole, I mean, I'm sure people are into that, but not I, sir.
Exactly.
And when you're getting into like ritual sex and things like that, it's like, I don't know.
No, dude, that shit's way off the rails. Shit is not, that's not a sustainable path for anybody but the cult leader at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
At all. I mean, it's like that wild, what did they call it? Wild Country? Netflix doc?
I did.
Right?
I
Remember
saw,
that one?
Yeah. And you know what? Okay. Yeah.
Like, watch that shit. That's another great one. That's that's the 70s and 80s version of this, really.
And I watched one, I don't think it was on Netflix, it might have been, but Children of God.
Yep.
Yeah, that was another one. So
yeah, no, this is, as far as I'm concerned, right in the same realm as The Family, which I think is the cult that one was based on. Mm-hmm. Okay. Check that one out. People who are curious.
I was.
A cult called The Family.
Yep.
From the 80s and 90s and on into the 2000s, I believe. So this also isn't that far in the past and has a number of notable. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they had a lot of celebrity children. That's the River Phoenix cult. That's the
really?
Leonardo DiCaprio, I think, was brought up in that cult. Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah. He seems like an eccentric that would have been brought up in a cult. He's so pretty.
Yeah, River Phoenix, much more well-known for it. But I think Leo was in there, real young before they kind of got broken up to an extent. But, yeah. So,
all right.
Nexium, everybody. There you go.
Nexium. Go check that crazy shit out. And in the meantime, we're going to chill out and learn about our strain of the week. Brought to you by Steve from Baked and Awake on DamagedGoodsInc.com. And bakedandawake.com. You can check him out there, or Spotify. He's everywhere.
I try. I'm trying to just smear myself all over the place wherever I can.
Just come everywhere, Steve. Just come everywhere.
I know. I started out bad with smearing. And you
opened the door, and I know
how we ended there.
Slammed the dick in your face.
I asked for that.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So... Well, thank you. First off, it's been fun chatting Nexium with you, because I think this is one that we'll probably want to come back to in the future. I'll look forward to.
Shade and Steve made it. Yeah, we should really quickly shout out to Lily Bongwater, who's having technical difficulties. With her blessing. Lily. Yeah, with her blessing, I'm recording this with you because when we put it to a vote, you were the first one we both wanted to hear from again.
Oh, wow. Well, that's really flattering. Thank you.
We love you. Okay, strain of the week.
So we've got this week a cool strain of the week. I've already been sipping on our call, as you may have noticed. Luckily, we have video together. Sorry, podcast listeners. But we're smoking Gorilla Glue number 4 this week.
Yes, we are, son.
So I've got it right in front of me, but I'll admit I'm smoking a Gorilla Glue cross. So I'll tell you about both strains today. So Gorilla Glue number 4, though, is a very, very popular strain. It's one of the highest testing strains in like Cannabis Cup history and tested results history that has come along in recent years. So I believe some of the like cup-winning versions of this strain have tipped the scales at over 30% THC in the flower, form. And Gorilla Glue is generally believed to be like an indica-leaning hybrid. I found WikiLeaf.com's source to describe it, so we'll pick up with their info here next. But that's kind of my off-the-hip characterization of Gorilla Glue. Here in Washington, it's very, very popular in our dispensaries. And I think we're fortunate today because didn't you mention that you are also on Gorilla Glue today?
I am, good sir. When you were like...
Fantastic.
Yes. Okay, so mine is a cartridge because in Florida right now, they decriminalize smoking. So you can now, if you have a medical card, smoke or vape or like they have the shatter and the other ingestibles. No actual edibles yet. Sad pace. But anyway, in the meantime... I've got the vape cartridge, and what I like about it is it's a really smooth, but you get like the citrus immediately. Like that citrusy kind of flavor, which I like.
There we go.
It's like open and
I think
smooth
cartridges are good that way. You get that, you get that nice like light presentation of the flower and none of the nasty smoke downside.
Yeah, you don't get any of the harshness, which is like, it's good for me because I have asthma. So like I don't mind smoking a blunt. I enjoy it. I do. But if I don't have anybody to share it with, I'm just going to fucking feel the burn.
There you go. There you go. Fair enough. Well, I mean, I love cartridges too. And I have a, pen for the daytime. There's times when you just can't beat that.
Yeah,
the
convenience of it,
form factor, absolutely.
Okay, so now smoke form, you've got a hybrid of it though.
So I do. So I actually lit up my Lake of Fire strain, which is a cross of Gorilla Glue number 4 and a strain called Cobain Kush. So mine that I'm smoking in front of you right now is the Lake of Fire. I do have some pure Gorilla Glue here on the desk as well.
To be you.
And and I'll play with that later because I've smoked a lot of Gorilla Glue, so I feel okay. You
look okay. You look
cheating
like
a little bit
great.
Here. Hey, I'm always feeling great. What can I say? They try to sell me.
Jealous.
They try to sell me under eye cream at the mall. They're like, "Sir, can I help you out?" I'm like, "No, get the fuck away from me, bro. I just look like this. Leave me alone."
This is my face, fuckers. Oh
I earned these saddlebags under my eyes.
Okay, now what does Cobain bring to the table? Because like I know the feeling. Like I like this.
Well, so it's a Kush strain. So it's like indica piled on indica. So they're just trying to like.
This uplifts me though. I feel like happier, like happy. On this.
I mean, you smoke enough of it and it'll probably come around on you a little bit more though. If you puff it, if you get too ambitious with it, it could get to a point where then it asserts itself more indica like, but if you're mellow with it, it's probably fine. And that's kind of like where my little bullshit smoke indica, do shit anyway tagline comes from, right? It's like, well, indica doesn't have to be something you got to be afraid of. Just moderate slightly differently. If you find that you're sensitive to the downer capabilities that indica tends to demonstrate or express in so many cases. And it's arguable whether that's even really true or not. Anyway, like that's so up for debate these days. Yeah, you can smoke some indica and still be fine. You just maybe take 1 or 2 less puffs than you might if you're a sativa-friendly smoker and you usually like that headband or you usually like that Blue Dream.
I love Blue Dream.
There you go. So, another great strain. And that was, one of the most popular strains right before Gorilla Glue really took its place at the top of the food chain recently. But, so let's see here. Tell you a little bit more about what WikiLeaf tells us about it.
Okay.
They did say here the highest testing Gorilla Glue that they have noted is 32%. Gorilla Glue number 4, also known as GG4. See, the Gorilla Glue got sued, or everybody who originated this strain and put it on their packaging, like seed banks that were branding and throwing Gorilla Glue on their packaging, 1 or 2 of them notably got actually dragged into court by the company that owns actual Gorilla Glue.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can't, no, we don't like this, you know. And they were, you know, people, of course, were ripping off Gorilla Glue imagery, too, on their labeling and everything. So they were definitely, like, riffing on the whole brand. The mythology about it, and I don't know if they go into it here, is that, so they don't mention it here, and that's good. So I'll tell you the background. The
You're like, I have the inside track on this.
Well, I heard in another description somewhere, I don't think I came up with this on my own, but I heard that the reason why it was called Gorilla Glue was because of how sticky it is in the trimming process and how much the resin would glue up people's scissors. It was like Gorilla Glue on their scissors. And anybody who's trimmed just a little bit of fresh cannabis can tell you that, you know, any really good strain is definitely going to give your scissors some trouble, and you got to keep some rubbing alcohol near to hand and clean them regularly during the process. You know, some people really try hard not to clean them as they go so that they can get that scissor hash off too, you know, and save those different parts of the process.
Later.
I'm the worst. I'm like just blasting everything with alcohol left, right, and center. I lose so much shit in the process. It's not even funny. Because the hashes, that's exactly how you get hashes, is in a recovery as a byproduct of processing. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so that's where the Gorilla Glue, name came from the original people who were handling it and growing it, right?
GG number 4.
Right, so they got sued. So they're now everybody's supposed to not say Gorilla Glue anymore. And like if you're in a legal market like this and you're growing this strain, you would label it GG4 probably, so that you can make sure you still capitalize on the association. People do know now. Now it actually kind of becomes cooler in a way because it's code now forever. It has
it's
to
like
be
the street term.
It's lingo, right? Like there'll be kids who come through who just turned 21 today who have never seen it labeled Gorilla Glue, just haven't had anybody take the time to tell them the story, certainly aren't paying attention, and that shit's just GG4. It's just one of those strains with a cryptic name. XJ13, what the fuck is that? Nobody knows, AK-47, okay, that's, we kind of know what that's being named for, but those who know what AK-47 is know that's Alaskan Thunderfuck and Trainwreck, for example.
That would be my favorite ever.
There you go.
I've never smoked that, but I love Trainwreck and I love Alaskan Thunderfuck.
There you go. Exactly.
So to me, that sounds like a great hybrid.
There you go. Exactly. And it's a very popular one, and it's a great strain. But so that's, one that most people will never know the story behind the name, right? Likewise, Lake of Fire doesn't really indicate anything about what its parent strains were. Gorilla Glue number 4 and Cobain Kush. Mm-hmm. That somehow became Lake of Fire. Lake of Fire is a reference to Kurt Cobain. That's about it. That's about all we get here. So maybe,
like an
in
homage.
That sense, well, and then in that sense, it's oblique because that song, Ring of Fire, was a Johnny Cash
I was just
cover.
Gonna say that.
And I don't even think it's like an old spiritual song or something like that too. Like I think it's a folk song that Johnny Cash recorded, and then Kurt Cobain did a cover of it. Right? So, good times.
Good times.
Yeah. So that's weed names. That's strain names for you. This one became popular back around 2014. It won Cannabis Cups in LA and Michigan back then, and that would have put it right at the forefront of our legal market in 2014. We were already smoking Gorilla Glue probably in a year or 2 or 3 prior to that in the medical side for sure, because it was out and about for a few years prior to really becoming like, popular. It's about that Gorilla Glue, motherfucker. Right. This is the shit now, Mm-hmm. I'm really glad to have my Lake of Fire strain because it keeps Gorilla Glue in the house at all times for me, in a sense, because that's a plant that I'm trying to keep alive and keep growing and always take babies from. That's pretty darn close to having Gorilla Glue number 4 seeds. And I guess I could probably find GG4 out there somewhere in terms of, a collectible souvenir seed of some kind that I could get from somebody. I don't know who sells
a collectible souvenir seed.
That's what they call it when you buy seed packs. growers and wannabe growers and little seed bank, seed heads, collectors. They call them packs, right? And when you get packs of seeds, in most cases, it's against the law to ship cannabis in any way, shape, or form. Right. First off, and you're not allowed to cultivate it in most cases either. So even the shipper has some exposure to risk in the form of, like, what are you selling those seeds for? Oh, well, I sell them for collectors for souvenir purposes. They put them in, in their, collectible seed bank of heirloom seeds that they look at for science.
It's science. So it's for science. Yeah, they just want to put them funny. In a box.
Isn't that interesting? So that's what's up with that.
That's cool. That's a great.
So they go on loophole. To describe it. Yeah, exactly. No, that's the loophole. That's what you do. That's what you do. It's there's collectible seeds. So they're going to talk about all the stupid usual lingo and how people use it for everything and under the sun, from cancer to arthritis and everything else. And it does have it has low CBD, but it's not for those serious medical conditions because of it. So
I can tell you right now, I have like pretty chronic pain, and compared to like a straight Kush for pain, it isn't comparable, because a straight Kush will kill my pain, but I won't really feel the psychoactive effect whatsoever, weirdly. Like for OG Kush, nothing, but the pain will be gone. With this, it takes the edge off. Okay, but I'm still feeling pain. So like if you're wanting to treat chronic or acute pain that's just really severe, probably not this strain. I mean, maybe, what about the Cobain one? Is that good for pain?
This conversation is not meant to replace a medical consultation with your physician. I think, for me, I have a hard time. Right now, I know for a fact that what I'm smoking was harvested a little early. The buds that I'm smoking today. Okay. This is trim from some early buds.
Some good trim.
Right, and it is good trim, and it is stony, but it's not mature. Okay, it's not mature. I have one plant left to come down, and that's the only one that I let go full term to get fully mature, because the other two were showing like little signs of stress and disease and shit. And I'm like, all right, you're done. You're both done. You're out of here. Fuck it.
Evicted.
You over there in the corner, you keep your shit together and you get to stay alive. Look what's happening to your friends over here. I'm chopping them down. So that's what I did.
Jesus, it's like the Schindler's List. You get saved, you don't make it. You get saved, you don't make it.
Exactly.
You're looking a little sicker. You're not working in the factory the way we thought. You're not working out.
No, we're just going to throw you in the leaf. We're throwing you in the leaf chipper as soon as you dry out, and nobody's ever going to see you. We're not even going to talk about you anymore,
Okay, but go on. So some of them didn't make the cut and some of them did.
Right, so it's fine to smoke, but my point is this stuff is smoking really differently than the finished product probably will on plant number, N, the ultimate plant. The
ultimate. Okay, so now how many is your ultimate goal one good plant, or is it like 10 good plants?
We can only grow 4 without fancy permission. I have a pretty basic medical recommendation that didn't come with a my care provider didn't recommend per se like 6, 8, 10 plants. I was mostly concerned at the time with the ability to purchase medical cannabis at the slight discounts that are offered, not necessarily to grow. I've since become interested in growing a little bit just for the sake of learning, because I work at a garden too. So I'm like, man, these things are too cool. And I already garden.
Yeah.
Why haven't I never tried to grow a plant?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a patient. I can grow a plant.
I hope that they allow us to do that soon, because I really love my garden that I created. And I feel like I could be really good at mothering a plant.
There you go. You do. And it's really super fun, because it's like, everything that you already like about is it a veggie garden that you've got going, or do you do flower gardening?
I do flowers and herbs, things like that.
There you go. Brilliant.
Oh,
No,
and I
love it.
like lots of things that do natural pest control or antioxidants for the dogs. Like I have some blueberries and shit like that. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I bet you're smart about having safe plants around your pets too. So, super cool. So, you know, it's everything you already love about all the cool stuff that you do with those plants,
with a
which
better
are all
return.
useful plants. With that, well, you have already a cool connection to the cannabis plant, right? So now you get to do that the whole way through, the same way you do with a nice tomato plant.
I would love to dance with a girl. I just feel like it'd be therapeutic, you know, because it's like, honestly, I have a new respect for medical marijuana. I really do, because for anybody that knew me a year ago, okay, I was living in my house and had been for 3 years. I was afraid to talk to people. I retired from my company. Like, I was in a very bad place. And believe it or not, smoking and finding certain strains took away a lot of my anxiety. My PTSD went down. Like, I calmed the fuck down and I was happy and I was able to, like, do normal things. And, you know, some of that came from me too. But I have to be honest, like, I can feel an absence if I'm not consistent, just like with any other medication. And I notice, like with me specifically, I don't know if this is true of a lot of people, but I really am not smoking for the express purpose of getting high. That's nice and all, but I have specific needs. And where I am, they've started developing strains to those ends. And I've had success with certain ones. So to me, like, I don't care why you get high. I mean, if you get high just because you want to, cool. I followed it by the book because I recognize a couple of things. First of all, I don't want to get in trouble like you. You know, I never want to put myself or anyone else in jeopardy. And so I went through the appropriate steps to get approved. It's an expensive process out here. I don't know if it's expensive out there, but here it's expensive.
Not like super cheap. No, I mean, it's, you know, you're going to outlay a couple $100 probably up front just in the paperwork.
Yeah, 300 is here. Yeah.
Yep.
And then you still have to follow up with your doctor and all that, and that costs money. And so it's not, and like you said, you didn't get a certain amount of approval. For me, they're like, we're surprised you're alive. Take it all. Like, I'm that bad. But, you know, I like that, like, we're moving forward, but we haven't, I don't know where you come down on this, but I don't think we should necessarily, like, full on legalize. Or do you? Like, would that impact your sales real bad? That's what I was concerned about. I don't want you not to have a job.
Sure. Well, so I would say that legalization at the national level, which would involve rescheduling of, like, psychoactive cannabis, not just CBD.
Right. The whole shebang.
We're talking about here.
Right.
It would fundamentally transform the, like, small markets all around the country that are currently being built at the state level.
Right.
And that's not because of the government level interference or profiteering directly. It'll be because of the corporate involvement of larger companies in these markets than have currently been there. And, you know, I've commented on my concerns about big ag, big food, big pharma all getting involved.
They already have growers.
And we're already seeing those stories exactly.
Yeah, like they already, I found out, and maybe I was just naive not to have thought this earlier, but some people don't realize, like Marlboro, for example, not even a pharmaceutical company, but a company that's ambitious. They already have growers and they're ready to just sell that shit. They just need the green light where they're at.
Yep.
So, and if they're doing it, Big Pharma's doing it.
And here's the thing that nobody's even talking about yet. Well, probably not nobody. Probably plenty of smart people, but
Some
maybe
of us.
nobody. Yeah. Maybe nobody that I'm hanging out with all the time right now. The people who you really have to worry about, if you're worried about that, like me, and I'm only so worried about it because whatever's going to develop is going to develop.
Right.
Okay.
You can't push sand against the tide.
The chips are going to fall where they may, and things are already moving in certain directions. And what I was going to say was, the people you have to worry about there are not the Coca-Cola that you recognize, or the Red Bull, or whoever it might be who's going to debut a, sativa energy drink, from Red Bull that's got, cannabis in it, and then they've got daytime versions that just have CBD, so anybody can drink it, and that's training the kids on it. Right. So there's a whole side potential conspiracy that's being talked about in some circles, and we could talk about it offline because it'll be a whole nother episode. But there are some people who are just like, they're getting ready to legalize it nationally, they're going to legalize it worldwide, and they're making cannabis the new cigarette. So the new, opiate of the masses, they're going to give it to us, and then they're going to
manipulate
control
it.
All the supplies of it. They're going to synthesize it and process it and make it, one of these things that, sure, some of us will grow it on our patios and in our backyards and stuff like that. But even if everybody in the world who knows how to do it does it like that and does it well and takes care of all their family and friends, that'll still be a drop in a bucket. It'll be a drop of vapor compared to all the people who they will have full control over their lifetime supply of this, essential staple product, which we can all agree, those of us who love cannabis in our lives, it is kind of a staple. Okay. It's as important to me as coffee, motherfucker. Don't fuck with my weed.
Right.
Don't come between me and my weed.
Yeah. I'm not a whole person. I don't even care who hears that. I live a more full life because I'm not in pain and I can think clearly. I don't fucking care what you have to say.
There you go. Yep. And I mean, and those aren't even the biggest, most, nuanced reasons why you love it as much as you do. That's just, a shortcut conversationally right now to point out that, hey, fuck you anyway if you don't already understand.
Right.
Okay. We don't need to straighten you out.
No.
If you're just not getting it. All right. I got it. You're a full grown adult and you already have formed your opinions on this.
We're
You're
enlightened.
Whatever works, I mean, it's fine. Some people don't fuck with it because they shouldn't fuck with it. Like they shouldn't fuck with some other things, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what's up. I think the people that we have to worry about is not the Coca-Cola that we recognize. It's the multinational corporations that are actually, like Coca-Cola is one of 100 brands that they own, and what they want. And their end game would be, I don't know, giant agriculture plantations down in South America of cannabis, right next to the coffee plantations and the cocaine plantations and the sugar plantations that can ship internationally legally.
Yeah, so there's no federal trade commission there.
Right. So once we legalize nationally, and the UN has already started to indicate that they are ready to move towards decriminalization of cannabis and all drugs, almost all drugs pretty soon, in a couple of talks in the last years. Then you get international trade of cannabis, and, then you can pretty much, plan on not seeing most of it doesn't matter who they are in the market right now. We've got here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a few bigger names like Willie's Reserve. That's the Willie Nelson brand, and some,
it's like
Marley
anything else. It's
Natural
going to
and a
get
few
homogenized,
others,
and they're going to be able to do whatever the fuck they want with it.
Right. So Willie Nelson's brand might live in the form of, it'll be one of the first things bought out by Coca-Cola or Marlboro or whomever who wants that next level, who wants that, whatever's already existent in the market. Yes, obviously we're going to gobble all that up first, get all your IP, get all your, we've eliminated our competition this way as well. We're going to use all your branding and stuff so it doesn't appear on the front end like we took over the whole market. But at the same time, we're free to debut our own products, not actually be competed against, sell all the old, top brands because we already bought them all anyway, and feed the whole public, more or less the same shit. Maybe they like somebody like a Coca-Cola who naturally has to do deals with a million different people to keep the pipeline of everything they need coming in from a million different places that they then turn into their formula, that turns into their syrup, that turns into their Coke. These companies are going to source weed from everywhere. But what do you think is going to happen when you source, Gorilla Glue from 100 different farms, and it all goes to a main distribution point in different lanes, one lane for Blue Dream, one lane for Gorilla Glue, one lane for, Granddaddy Purple, one lane for OG Kush, one lane for whatever it might be. Even if they're selling the consumer what is ostensibly presented as a single strain product and maybe all sourced from the same region, blah, 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 we all know that was still 100 farms worth of different methods and applications and styles and adherence to, safety and fairness and employment practices with their employees and the ethical, growing of their plants with or without the pesticides that they claim that aren't on the labels. All that shit's going to get mixed together, and all that shit's going to get highly processed, and you'll get a pack of Marlboro cigarettes that say Blue Dream cannabis cigarettes on them, because they're not going to call them joints. They're going to call them cannabis cigarettes.
Yep.
And that's just like a super, that's old man shit, joints, as you mentioned. There's a million different methods of delivery today. So these companies have their 21st century path to reinvention in the form of vape cartridges and subdermal patches and dissolving under the tongue lozenges and tinctures and topical oils and eye drops and Binaca spray misters and asthma inhalers.
Yeah, there was they were called a nasal spray. I was like, what?
Yeah, there you go. Nice. A neosynephrine CBD up your nostrils, I mean.
They were and you can just request it. I was like, oh, well, I don't need that. But, I mean, something about putting it up my nose just is too far.
That's incredible.
No,
that's incredible. That was a service they were offering?
Yeah, well, not a service. You can buy the thing. It counts as a, I think if they classify it as sublingual, but it's not because the sublingual drops look like, I'll show you, like these.
Sure.
But the other thing looks like a regular Nasonex. You're like,
that's crazy.
And now
there you go.
feeling great.
I was going to say that's probably a nice quick delivery method.
Yeah, I'll bet it.
In terms of uptake to the body.
Yeah.
So, so that's the thing. We've all the existing local markets have done is really proof of concept. Everything that the bigger companies should have been doing already anyway, but because they could actually afford to wait it out and watch the pioneers struggle and die and get arrested in the first place a million times before anybody legalized day one.
Right.
And they're like, no, it's absolutely fine. Go ahead and have fun for 10 years, you guys. Mm-hmm. Make everything you can as good as you can. We can't wait to buy it all in a little while.
Yep. Yep.
Because they're going to buy everything.
Go ass up. Yep.
They're going to buy everything that's worth buying in terms of IP and organizations in any market. And, that'll happen invisibly to the public in most cases. And, nobody who is doing it right now will be calling the shots in any way, shape, or form at all in another few years. So I'm not that worried about it. I don't think that, any of the smarter people in positions and layers of the industry similar to mine
saw it coming.
If they're not aware of that already, then they're just being willfully ignorant at this point, because the information is out there all day, every day already to inform that opinion. I'm not making anything up about what I just said. That shit is all, the writing is all over the wall out there on that right now. all the existing industries have done is model and prototype and proof of concept everything that those theys that I already, with air quotes, have mentioned, big ag, big pharma, big food, are going to co-opt and just yoink from everybody. And there's not going to be fuck all they can do about it.
Well, on that note...
Yeah, I'm a real optimist. I know. I'm a great time, huh?
Yeah, no, you know what? I love how uplifting you were on that.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, are you excited they're going to legalize? Because, like, I'm on the fence about it. And you were like, actually, it's going to happen, but it's horrible.
We're all going to die. It's over. Forget it. Give up now. Yeah.
All right. Such is life. You know what? I'm always so glad when you join me.
Thank you.
I am. I missed
It's a
you.
good time. Thanks for having me.
And you guys
Sorry
have
we
to
missed Lily.
Yeah, well, we're working on that. She now has internet and no laptop still. She's still out of a laptop.
Well, today's desktop computer happening had me thinking again about my Chromebook, which I started the podcast on, and that failed me, and that I had to move away from. But I think I'm going to get another Chromebook back in action just so that I can fire that up for mobile, remotes like this.
Yeah.
Because that's just a little bit better than the phone for some of this stuff. I could have probably run it with my headset like I wanted to with this.
Yeah, but the mic. We made
exactly.
do, though. It was more
No, it's
important
fine.
to get something recorded because, like, we were in arrears here. But
no, it was fun. It was fun. It was a good thing to get together for. And actually, I think, I'm not done investigating Nexium, so we may have to talk about it some more.
A Nexium update? Yeah, girl.
You know what I mean? That would be fun. Yeah, I'm gonna keep digging around on it because it's too much fun to look at. I mean, it's terrible.
The more I read, the more I was like, wow, this is interesting. But then I was like,
yeah, I don't mean to be like that, but yeah, like it's a little bit like one of those train wrecks only because of like I see so much of that landmark shit in the Nexium shit that I'm like, damn, I really dodged an even bigger bullet than I probably thought I did with them.
Yeah.
So.
That's where you should peel some layers back too, the landmark shit, because you have direct knowledge of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I would
exactly.
dig next.
Well, and I keep on saying that they're connected, and I really don't have a lot to go on with that except for what I've already said. So that's pretty flimsy. So maybe I should see how much that connection really is.
All right. Well, maybe we'll get an update on that. Either way, we'll definitely have Steve back because he's amazing. You can find Steve where? You
can find my podcast, Baked and Awake, at damagedgoodsinc.com, first and foremost. Damaged Goods Network, represent. And certainly at your favorite podcatcher, probably already in your pocket if you're a podcast listener. Try to search Baked and Awake. And if you can't find me for some reason, please let Shade know or try to find
You'll be in my show
Instagram.
notes, so just click, idiots. It'll be so easy.
I was going to say, you can find me on the Google somewhere. You can definitely find me on social media, most active on Instagram at baked_and_awake.
Yeah, I love finding you on Instagram. We always poke at each other that way.
I have the most fun on Instagram.
Me
so
too.
Definitely get at me there.
Yeah. And if you haven't, so him, and also we have at Daddy Issues Show, so you can find me there and get into all the shenanigans I get into there. I'm always posting on fucking Instagram. I love that shit.
Well, you have a very risque account. I can't let my boys look at that account.
That's fine.
Much. I'm like, Daddy, what is that?
What is that? And why is
your eyes,
that?
Son. Why is that woman? What?
All right. On that note, thank you, Steve. Thank you, everybody, for showing the fuck up and listening to this and getting in on the cult behavior with us. I'm Shay. This is Daddy Issues, and fucking, I love this. I love this show. It's such a good show. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Actually, I think I think I'm good. You good?
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you for joining us on Daddy Issues, brought to you by the dirty minds of the Damaged Goods Network. Don't forget to tip the ladies at paypal.me/tiptheladies. Find more guilty pleasures and our dirty secrets at damagedgoodsinc.com. Click, play, obsess.